Good evening, everybody. First off, No, I had the mic off for the intro and I didn't remember to do it. Oh, I'm doing bad today with my mic. Thanks, Nian. I should go back, but I'm not going to. It is what it is. This is why lives are lives. So, remember yesterday I was talking about Tourette's, and you'll start hearing more about it in the future. Well, if you watched Greg Terry's broadcast today, he was talking about it as well. You know, Tourette's is right here. And one of the things I've heard about is Russia actually made an advance into this block of the city. We're trying to take over the high-rise apartment buildings. And Ukraine was able to basically tie up those guys with drones and keep them occupied, cut off their supplies, and basically recaptured this area while capturing prisoners and stuff. So I know that story has not been very publicly available yet, but I'm sure it's been like 48 hours or so now since that happened. I'm sure you'll hear more of it. But the key thing in Tourette's you really need to watch for is this is the rail line. Russia has been trying to use the Riva as a supply point. But because Tourette's is so close and they haven't been able to advance, they haven't been able to use it. So they're still supplying by train into Horlivka, and then trucking their supplies up this road. You know, New York, Napoli, this area. You know, this is the line that they held in 2014, that Russia captured in 2014, and has basically been the line of defense. This is as far as they have made it in 3 years in this particular area. But it's all linked together. Chasiv Yar, Touretsk, Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, Pokrovsk, it's all trying to get avenues of attack on Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. Why? Because rail line. Go down to Pokrovsk, rail line. Go up by Chasiv Yar, rail line. You know, another rail line along here goes up to Slavyansk and Mykolaievka and up towards Lyman. Russia needs their rail lines. Hey, real man. Anyways, 14 times in Touretsk area. And then 3 of those clashes were still ongoing as it went into the darkness. In Pokrovsk direction, there's a high intensity of hostilities. The number of clashes has increased to 27. The invaders continue to attack our positions near the settlements Mirolubivka. I'm just going to say the ones I can pronounce. Selidov, Novotoretsk, Menorgad, Mykolaievka. I didn't say that right, I know. Defenders have repulsed 24 of the attacks, and 3 were ongoing. Previous losses of the aggressor amounted to 287 killed and wounded. 1 tank, 5 armored fighting vehicles, and 3 artillery systems and 7 vehicles were destroyed, while another tank and 2 artillery systems were damaged. So 27 attacks. And they're talking about in this area here. Mirnograd, Zibka, Novopolivka, this is the area they're talking about. 27 attacks in one day. At this time, at 10 o'clock last night, there were 47 combat clashes of varying intensities in the Kharkiv direction. The occupiers were most actively tried to advance in the areas of Ismailivka, Rivka, a lot of names that are really hard for me to pronounce. I'm working on it though. Konstantinivka, Kurakovoy, Dali, and Antonivka. Show you where this area is. Oh, Kharkiv. Okay. They're talking about this area here. 47 attacks in this area in one day. Right? Yeah, 47 attacks in one day in that little area. So yeah, that's the hot area right now, but you're going to start seeing more and more in the Toretsk area. In the Vermitsk direction, the aggressor with support of aviation stormed the front edge of our defenses in Bogloyanka area 4 times today. So, I forgot to go through this. Enemy losses in the Kharkiv area was 104 killed and wounded. A tank, 7 armored fighter vehicles, and 2 cars were destroyed. 53 drones were suppressed, and another tank was damaged. Vermitsky direction, the aggressor with support of aviation stormed the front edge of Bogoyarvlika. That town. Show you where that's at. Oh, wait, that's not the area I was thinking. Here. So they're trying to advance here. Let's see, was that today? Yeah. And here's Deep State's update for it. So 103 Russians gave up their life to take this little farming field. Is it worth it, Russia? I don't think so. You need to stop. In the Dnieper direction, 9 enemy attempts to take the positions of our soldiers failed. When they say the Dnieper direction, they're talking about this entire line here. Now they don't tell you about the drone attacks where the artillery shells are or what have you. There's a lot of artillery, there's a lot of drones going across this whole area. Nikopol is hardly ever talked about, but every day there's artillery shells landing in Nikopol. Hey, Kurt. Of course, Endohar, Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. But yeah, it's almost never talked about. But you go to Ukraine. You can see right now artillery shells, artillery shells, artillery shells. Every day there's artillery shells. Just like up here in Kharkiv, every day there's artillery shells. Um, the defense forces hold back the onslaught of Russian occupiers. Special mention should be made of the soldiers of the 28th Separate Mechanized Brigade, named after the Knights of the Winter Campaign. The 79th Separate Amphibious Assault Brigade of the Turan Brigade, and the 425th Separate Assault Battalion, who courageously held their positions and successfully repelled enemy attacks, inflicting significant losses on the invaders. Glory to the Ukrainian soldiers, glory to Ukraine, and Heroam Slava. That's yesterday. And, one of the things I wanted to point out was, like a week ago, Russia was only firing, between 2,200 and 2,500 artillery shots a day. They've added 1,000 shots every day for like the last 5 days. So when people tell you, oh, nothing's happening in Ukraine, no, it's intensifying. They're trying to push before the muddy season, both sides, and things get locked into place for a few weeks. They have the update as of 8 a.m. today, but I'm going to not touch on that and wait for the 10 o'clock for today and do that for tomorrow's stream. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. But yeah, like where I can't find it. There. Okay, I was looking in the wrong spot. I need to learn the location of these towns better so I can find them faster. But Greg Terry's, he has a lot more information than I have available to me, and he's starting to talk about the Tourette's direction. Unfortunately, you're going to hear more about it. I wish that it wasn't, but one thing I want to do is Tourette's. To give you guys kind of an idea of what this town used to look like. Okay, this is like the mining. I could probably find a better picture here. So, just a typical town. Let's see. And usually somebody has a drone shot up above the city, and I'm trying to find one of those, but I'm guessing that's a school. This is on the southern side of the town. There's a messed up photo for that, unfortunately. Here we go. So you see all the high rises in the center of the town. and then the mining roads. And we're sitting on top of the slag pile, basically. And this is, basically what the slag piles from mining is the only elevation in the area. And just one more picture here, just to. So you got a forest area, nice forest area that this is basically going to be destroyed here. So that's that forest area right there. You got a similar forest area here, and this is where the Russians are staging out of right now, trying to push into that high-rise area in the middle of town. I guess Ukrainians are holding the position in this forest line, and I don't know. Deep State's not entirely accurate, but it kind of gives you an idea. It's flat. There's no height advantage except for on these slag piles. I wish there was better imaging from Google on here, but I can understand why they're not doing it. But I'll go back to this one. So, just a random drop in Konstantinivka. The point south. And this is, if you just took this picture and showed it to me, I couldn't tell you if this was South Dakota, Minnesota, Ukraine. What? This is what it's like. It's the breadbasket of Europe, just like, the Midwest is the breadbasket of America. I do want to play the speech from Zelensky for you. Hold on.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці, українки. Тепер вже готуємось до нових перемовин, що відбудуться цього тижня. Ми продовжимо представляти нашим європейським партнерам нашу стратегію примусу Росії до миру. Команди нашої держави та команди лідерів, наших партнерів, яким вже представлений план перемоги, продовжують працювати над деталями. Потрібні спільні кроки, і це мають бути сильні кроки. Є певні додаткові питання, які маємо узгодити з нашими партнерами, але весь необхідний потенціал у партнерів є. І це абсолютно реалістично посилити позиції нашої держави, посилити позиції України саме так, як необхідно для чесного миру. І саме зараз потрібно діяти, щоб не дати Росії та її спільникам адаптуватись до наших можливостей. Ми бачимо, що нарощується союзництво між Росією і такими режимами, як у Північній Кореї. Це вже не просто про передачу зброї, це фактично про передачу людей з Північної Кореї до військових сил окупанта. Очевидно, що в таких умовах наші відносини з партнерами потребують розвитку. Фронт потребує більшої підтримки. Коли ми говоримо про більшу далекобійність для України та більш рішуче постачання для наших сил, це не просто перелік військових засобів. Це про збільшення тиску на агресора, який буде для Росії сильнішим, ніж вони можуть витримати. І це про недопущення більшої війни. Справжній мир може бути досягнутий лише завдяки силі, і весь наступний тиждень буде присвячений роботі з нашими партнерами заради такої сили. заради справжнього миру команди працюватимуть, буде робота із лідерами також. Дуже розраховуємо на те, що ухвалення рішень не забариться. Наші українські воїни, увесь наш народ довів, що Україна здатна досягти навіть того, що комусь здавалось неможливим. Ми вже неодноразово змінювали курс цієї війни. До кращого змінювали. Українці вміють битися, вміють вибивати майбутнє для своєї держави, для свого народу, для всіх нас. Це маємо зробити і зараз. Я пишаюся нашими людьми, і наші люди заслуговують на достатню допомогу і на справедливий мир. Я хочу подякувати зараз нашим бойовим бригадам Збройних сил України, які за цей тиждень найкраще проявили себе. Покровський напрямок, 38-ма окрема бригада морської піхоти, Курахівський напрямок, 79-та бригада ДШВ, Времівський напрямок, 425-й окремий штурмовий батальйон, Придніпровський напрямок, 35-та окрема бригада морпіхів, а також Оріхівський напрямок, 65-та і 118-та окремі механізовані бригади, 128-ма окрема гірсько-штурмова бригада. Дякую всім вам. І ще відзначу наших прикордонників, як і разом з іншими силами оборони і безпеки України гідно захищають нашу державу. Луганський прикордонний загін – це бригада «Помста», солдат Віталій Багінський, молодший сержант Олександр Балуєв, штаб-сержант Олександр Оліфіренко, капітан Віталій Кобаль, бригада «Гард». Хлопці воюють на Харківщині, солдати Андрій Демидов та Олександр Борисенко. Дякую вам та усім вашим побратимам. Харківський прикордонний загін, головний сержант Олександр Василець, старший сержант Владислав Кузніченко, Сумський прикордонний загін, старший сержант Микола Трохименко та майор Ігор Краплич. Дякую. А також відзначу усіх воїнів підрозділу «Дозор» Державної прикордонної служби України. Слава усім, хто з нами, хто з нашим народом, хто з Україною. Дякую кожному і кожній, хто допомагає. Слава Україні!
Героям слава. In case you didn't catch it, he was talking about the North Koreans actually have troops in Ukraine at the moment. Reports that I've read are that they're in this area supporting the attack in Toretsk and over towards Pokrovsk, and they're also up here in the Kupiansk area. The stuff I hear is secondhand from secondhand sources, so I don't know how much credibility there is to that, but North Korea has troops in Ukraine. I don't think so, because North Korea, from the reports of people that have defected, when they were in the military, they didn't have a problem with getting food. They didn't have any problems until after they left the military. There's one story of a lady that was in the military, retired from the military and defected to South Korea, and she thought everything was normal, everything was fine, well fed, well kept up, didn't need for anything while in the military to their standards. And then when she got out, she didn't eat for 3 days. And she actually does talking tours in the US now, so I'll have to find one of her lectures and share it. But no, I don't. They won't be given a chance to defect. They might go back to Russia and say, no, we don't want to go back to North Korea, but they won't defect to Europe. They're a kilometer or so behind the lines firing artillery. And North Korea said, oh, they'll just be doing logistics. Yeah, they're doing logistics of loading artillery pieces and firing artillery shells at Ukrainian civilians for the most part. One other thing I wanted to bring up that might give you a talking point. I'm going to go from, Israel is mad at Iran because Iran is backing Hezbollah. A couple other, the Houthis, that's where I was trying to remember. Iran backs the Houthis in Yemen. Well, guess who else Iran backs? Iran backs Russia. Iran is sending Russia drones to use it to attack civilians in Ukraine. So Iran is supporting terrorists that fight against Israel. They're supporting terrorists that fight against basically anybody that's from the West passing through the Gulf of Aden. And they're supplying terrorists that are attacking Europe. So, yeah, Iran is backing terrorists. Yes, they are. Russia is a terrorist. North Korea, we never know what they're going to do because they have a crazy guy that has a short man's Napoleon complex. Hey, Thorben. I didn't have anything else I wanted to cover, so if you guys have heard anything new or want me to look into anything for tomorrow, now's the time to speak up. While I wait for you guys to do this, I'm going to. Oh, not that. So this is a English language Telegram channel, Warriors Ukrainian. They basically translate and send out information that Ukrainian channels send out, but translated. So Starlinks are being used by Russia. According to Ukrainian military personnel, there's a thriving black market supplying Starlink terminals to Russians on the front line. And their distribution has become a key factor in Russia's recent successes. So, Elon Musk, boy, straighten your shit out. Oh, we were talking about the attacks in Kota. Oh, that's loud. When you talk about an assault in one of the directions, this is what the assaults are. Okay. Before YouTube yells at me for that. Here we go. Russians are claiming that a glide bomb carrying Su-34 was shot down by a pair of F-16s flying over Russian-occupied territory. Firstly, the risk element of the F-16 potentially inside Russian SAM cover, but the fact they weighed that risk and considered it worth taking to hit the aircraft. Glide bombs have become a scourge of the Ukrainian army. They're largely responsible for breaking down solid defense lines the Russians would never otherwise get through, and their introduction has been critical to Russia's advances. Getting at one of the aircraft delivering them, they're dropped from as far as 70 kilometers behind the lines, is no minor risk. If this is all borne out and verified, then it's quite a marker in the air war. So, so basically going through all the stuff that doesn't say where though. Night skyline in Odessa with the, what was it? Atlas Comet. Kind of cool. Hey, I had this as a scheduled live stream, so I'm getting better with that. I'll have to, give more than a half hour warning of the schedule, but um so yeah, tonight there was no shaheeds in Ukraine airspace. That's kind of nice. Of course, they resend Zelensky's speech. Let me pause that. And I want you guys to see this because this is you Zelensky asking for more air defense. So, and in this video, did you see any military vehicles, any military buildings. No, it was all civilians, all apartment buildings, private houses. Let's keep going. Uh, Trump. I don't even want to read about Trump. 22-minute video from Hodromsky. I love their videos. They're very informative, but they're in Ukrainian. You know, the channel's fundraisers. So, oh, these are all the tongue work. I can't even say it. All the coins that Ukraine's issuing to show support and I'm gonna have to get a package of these. Our SBU. Come on, get out of there. Ooh. They're selling collector sets for $500. This is obviously, yeah, it's they're collecting all the coins and selling sets for $500. That's nuts. 16, 7 times 4, 28, 32. So for 44 coins, so yeah, so for about $11 worth of coins, they're asking people for $500. That's a little out of my price range to get it from them. So I'll just go to Ukraine, and when I go to Ukraine, get a set for myself. See. So Ukraine developed a new drone.
В Україні розробили баражуючий безпілотник. Про новітню розробку повідомили в оборонній компанії United Military Solutions. Дрон Стік М12 здатен перебувати у повітрі понад годину та летіти на відстань до 70 кілометрів. Безпілотник призначений для ураження стаціонарних цілей росіян, зокрема броньованої техніки, а також місць дислокації. Перші 10 дронів передали на фронт ще влітку, а вже зараз Житомирська обласна військова адміністрація підписала меморандум на передачу нової партії боєприпасів нашим захисникам.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, it ties into what Zelensky was just talking about in his speech. Getting production of munitions inside Ukraine. And there's one instance of it where they've already supplied 10 drones with the capacity to go 70 kilometers. Commemorative, yeah. Again, no air raids, no air alerts, just artillery alerts. That is a welcome sight. Planitia drones. I'm not sure what those are. So, oh, missile drone. Yeah, okay. There you go. Kiev Independent. Everything we know about the new missile drone. So when was this article? September 1st. So a little over a month ago. So successfully used in August. Described as both a missile and rocket drone, but defense. So Andriy Kuriki said it's essentially a lightweight cruise missile. So a few tens of kilograms, like what? A few is 2, so 20 kilograms of explosive. Yeah, 20 kilograms fragmentation warhead. Oh, 500 and 700 kilometers? Measure distance. So basically could hit Moscow from Kharkiv. And, other areas in Sumy, even at the minimum. That's going to be a nice addition to their arsenal. And yesterday, Zelensky was announced a new deal with France to have a France ammunition manufacturing company set up shop in Ukraine. So Ukraine is working really hard on getting their own supply lines set up. And to me, that is perfect. No more reliance on, sadly, my crappy politicians to approve aid. Okay, yeah, they attacked and damaged a Patriot system. That's like saying it. I don't put this in simplistic terms. If Russia's not lying this time, and there was video evidence of them that showed them hitting something, but you have to realize a Patriot system is not like all combined together. There's a radar rack, command rack, and then like little trailers with the missiles, and you could spread those out. I think the cables are 1.5 kilometers at the before you have to. Maybe it's just 1 kilometer. They have fiber optic cable that's 1 kilometer long for Patriot systems. So you can have the radar station giving orders to the missile system 1 kilometer away by fiber optic. And they can even go out farther than that, but then it's by radio communication. So if they hit something, what'd they hit? Did they hit the missile system part of the system? Did they hit the radar part of the system? The command part? It it's not, you shouldn't take it as they took out an entire Patriot system. They took out a small section of the Patriot system. So, it's this is the command part, this is the radar part, and then the missile launcher part. You could have, I think it's up to 8 of these attached to each radar and command point. So, okay, if they took out one of the missile launchers, they took out 4 missiles at most. Less if it's already fired its missiles. Oh darn, they have to bring in a new trailer to replace that one. The command section and the radar are the hard parts of the system to replace, the expensive part. Okay, so they have to replace this part. It's not the entire system, it's just part of it. But well, that's what okay, LJ, yes, I've heard about it. But what do you expect when they're using washing machine chips to repair their aircraft? Spin cycle, crash. um, yeah, I know it was a little bit ago, but I never get tired of that joke, the spin cycle joke. Um, let's see. He, so, evacuating people from Sumi. So, some men were arrested outside a concert. Okay, this is worth a read. Well, here's a house repaired for displaced persons. Ukrainian government is considering options to end Russia's full-scale invasion that would involve temporarily suspending its goal of restoring Ukraine's full territorial integrity. A German news outlet reported today. 20% of Ukraine is currently under occupation. A pillar of Zelensky's peace formula for Ukraine involves full liberation of all occupied territories. The government is now holding serious discussions about relinquishing its aim of full territorial restoration. An unnamed official. So this has about as much credibility as, hey, I heard it from a friend who. And of course, they have to inject American politics into it because Trump's an ass. Harris. Yeah, they are proposals for surrender, which is dangerous and unacceptable. Polling from July this year shows that 55% of Ukrainians oppose territorial concessions to Russia. Yeah, but what's the margin of error on the poll? How many people did you poll? Yeah, I give no credence to a poll that does not give its margin of error, does not tell you its sample size. Yeah, no sample size information, no margin of error calculation. I give that about as much attention as I would a roll of toilet paper. Not all news articles are very forthcoming with that information. Yeah, it is their call. But some unnamed source that won't give their name, like, tells a German newspaper that, oh yeah, I'm close to Ukraine and this is what Ukraine has said. Yeah, well, I'm close to Ukraine and I don't tell you what Ukraine said. I show you some things they say. But where was it? An unnamed official told this German newspaper So, I mean, it being an unnamed source without anything backing up that they are close to Ukraine or have anything to deal with Ukraine, it it's yeah, I heard it from a friend who, you know, if they want to, if Ukraine wants to give up territory to get a temporary peace, I'm behind them for that. But the Ukrainians will be the first ones to tell you you cannot trust a deal with Russia. You know, case in point, Budapest Memorandum, and then reissuance of that promise to respect international borders of Ukraine again 6 years later. And guess what? 2 years later, they invade Crimea and take over parts of Donetsk and Luhansk. So, yeah, we might get like a 2-year reprieve from the war, but I think it's going to start up again soon after. I just hate it when, news companies, here's this poll that said, 15 people out of 100 don't like black cows because they are much hotter. Okay, well, how many? Okay, who cares? Give me give me the how many people you sampled. If you only sampled 100 people, you have that statistic has no credit behind it. Okay, you sampled 1,000 people. There's 35 million people in Ukraine. Tell me your sample size. At least give me a margin of error calculation. It's not that hard of a calculation to do. Yeah, that's another area where I don't have a popular opinion. I would rather not see Kyiv as joining the European Union. Um, I think Ukraine should be kind of like Mexico is with the U.S. A free trade agreement and a protectorate of the EU. If something happens to Ukraine, EU responds. NATO, okay, yeah, NATO's really needs to be stepping up as a European thing instead of an American thing. Because you look at our past presidents in the last 5, 6, 7 elections, 20 years, we've become more and more isolationists politically. I don't see us politically wanting to be involved in world politics anymore, unless something happens to the U.S. Russia bombs Alaska, okay, we'll jump in. But I was very surprised that we had as much of a response to Ukraine as we did in the beginning. True. And like I said, I personally think the best option for Ukraine's future is a protectorate of the EU and a free trade partner of the EU. The EU needs that. The thing that makes the free trade agreement in North America work is Mexico is a much lower lower price workforce than America. So Mexico provides America with a lot of factory work and cheap labor, basically, to keep Americans supplied with goods. I think Ukraine could be EU's Mexico, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that does or not. And that's not a diss or anything, disrespect. That's Ukraine has the raw resources. It has the farmland to grow food, and it has the manufacturing capabilities and the power generation. And if Europeans can get cheaper food, cheaper manufactured goods, and cheaper electricity, they're happier. Ukraine's happy because they have people employed, they have exports, they have a functioning economy for the next 80 years. Oh yeah, NATO is much quicker. And I think they're going to have like a NATO approval process within minutes of a peace accord, if there is one, between Ukraine and Russia. I don't think it will last much longer. Russia does not have the population to sustain this war for more than 5 years. And I hate saying that, because it's not good for Ukraine to go on that long, because they don't have the population to recover from it either, because of the past mistakes in the USSR with stacking war on top of another war generationally. The hard thing with NATO is, like, every member has like veto power. So someone's going to have to give up something for Ukraine to become NATO. Because there's going to be someone holding out for something that they want from somebody else and it's horse trading. So unless someone wants to give up something for NATO's going to be a much harder push for Ukraine, I think. Here's a peace deal for you. Russia gets out of Donetsk and Luhansk. They probably end up holding Crimea, or at least the southern part of Crimea. But Ukraine gets Kursk, Krinsky, and Belgorod. Yeah, I wouldn't actually want that to be the peace deal, but um, there's just so much industry along here that was destroyed. Even if Russia does keep this area, it's going to bankrupt them rebuilding this area because they're not going to get international help to rebuild parts of occupied Ukraine. So, I mean, yeah, even if Ukraine gave up what is occupied by Russia right now, Russia has no hope of being able to rebuild any of this. You're talking in Mariupol alone. How much do you think it's going to cost to rebuild this iron plant? This is a huge iron plant. Foundry, whatever you want to call it. Every building in here was damaged. It's going to have to be bulldozed, stripped, and rebuilt from scratch. Russia was not going to have the money for it because there's going to be reparations to Ukraine in that deal. I'd guarantee it. Um, and like I said, even if a peace agreement does come up, no matter what the conditions of that peace deal are, Russia's not going to abide by it. Maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 10, but all we're doing is passing the buck from this generation to the next generation. Instead of our kids going to fight, it's going to be our grandkids going to fight, or they have to deal with this. Yeah, okay, let me see if I can explain this. One of the conditions about joining NATO is you cannot be involved in an active conflict. You can dispute the border all you want, but as long as you're not shooting people over it, you can still join NATO. Um, one of border disputes that is just mind-boggling is this area of, well, I can't even say India, I can't say Wuhan, and I can't say China, because India claims like up to this checkered line. Wuhan claims like over to here, and China claims down to this dotted line. But they're not actively fighting over it. It's just lawyers. Hey, Carpathian. The problem with Russia is this is the wild, well, I was going to say west, but the wild east for Russia. There's some raw resources that are worth gathering in this area, but they're not so worth gathering that they could build infrastructure. There's one road. There's not even one road that you can take to go from, say, one end of Moscow to what's one of the cities over here? Vladivostok. Yeah. My tongue does not want to work anymore. It shows there's a road, but in many places this road is just dirt. Mountain passes. There is a rail line, and that's one of the reasons why Russia is so dependent on rail, because they have to use rail to get from one end of the country to the other. I think the rail line goes along this part and comes down through here. But they don't have the infrastructure like an interstate system we have in these states. It's just too vast, and there's not enough income to support building that road system. It's too cold up here to grow most crops, so this is where they got their food from in the USSR. It is what it is. Well, I saw that too there, and I thought maybe there was an error alert that went off, but I guess not. Anyways, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you all for coming. And play my intro as an outro. Again. Good night, everybody. Take care. Stay safe.
I'm really now. I mean, I have Pollard now for a flex, so you can use a solid flex play. But come on, dude. I mean,